People who have OnlyFans, what is stopping you from upgrading to an air conditioner? I can't have sex with an air conditioner. I feel like this gives more questions than answers. Trust me, you don't wanna know the answers to all of those questions. True. You can only get a blowjob. I mean, what do you think the compressor's function is? Not with that attitude. Not with that altitude. Amateur. Anything's a sex toy, if you're brave enough. I'm an average fan enjoyer. I like when the fan blows air into my butthole. I'm Korean and I enjoy the thrill of electric fans. You just don't get that genuine life or death scenario with Axe. Source. I've always wondered, does that apply to ceiling fans as well? Somehow I feel like they're safer, even though I don't think standing fans will kill you either. Edit. Loving all the ceiling fan injuries. But I was wondering if the fear of dying from having a ceiling fan on exists in Korea. Not about their actual danger. Ceiling fans are too big to chop up oxygen. I mean they are, but all fans are too. See, I always have the fear that my ceiling fan whirling at the speed of sound might just fall off and crush me in the middle of the night. Have you ever replaced or installed a ceiling fan? They're not heavy enough to crush you, especially if it's close enough in your bedroom that you can touch it when standing on the bed. It would be more of an oof situation. Haha. Probably some bruising. Maybe some cuts from glass breaking, assuming it has lights. I'd imagine that your comforter/sheets would mostly protect from that though. The likelihood that it'd fall is so slim as to be non-existent though. Here's why. The wires are usually enough to hold it, especially if solid core copper wire, like, is typically used for the grounding wire, and there's also usually a thing type depends on the fan that will hold it up there while you're hooking up the wires. If the fan fell, it'd get caught on that pre-wiring hook/bowl holder thing before it fell on you. Having said that, if you sleep under a huge industrial fan that's 2 or 3 stories up, all bets are off. That would hurt a lot more. Then again, those are usually attached much more strongly than house fans. Edit. Ceiling fans typically weigh as much as a baby. Could you handle a baby falling onto your chest from a few feet above? Then you'll be fine. I love this particular Wikipedia article because if you read the Korean language version 1 via machine translation, my Korean is terrible. The tone of that article is much less skeptical. Another great pair is the English, and turn into it, and you get the corresponding Italian. I read somewhere that fan death is used to cover a suicide as it is less embarrassing to the family. Yes, hanging is a common suicide method in many parts East Asia. Thus the death by asphyxiation, and the excuse is that the fan suffocates you if left on overnight. Fun fact, fans cannot kill you in the US. Their superpower is only activated in Korea. Crossing the border to North Korea, that superpower still remains. Fun fact, fans cannot kill you in the US. Tell that to John Lennon. Funnily enough, my best friend has the reverse fear. They think they need the central AC fan or overhead fan on or else they will suffocate. RIP to our pre-fan and pre-AC ancestors. I like talking into it and sounding like a robot. I do this. I'm 38. My wife thinks she married a moron. Don't want to disappoint her. It took me way too long to get this joke. I need more coffee. I didn't realize it was a joke until you said it was. I'm 1/4 into my coffee. What's the joke? I don't get it. Edit. Okay, thanks. I got it. Lol, thanks Reddit. And yes, I definitely didn't know about this site or what the hell all this was about, but had loads of fun reading the response. The joke is that has talking about fans that blow air and not the dirty site you're thinking of, you pervert. I assumed a lot of girls were sweaty or something, and for some reason it was still funny to me with that interpretation. The fan chops up the oxygen molecules and makes it more easier for me to suck them down. Edit. A silver for this comment. Thank you. I feel like that prostitute in Pretty Woman. No, you don't understand how chemical bonds work. How a fan goes chop chop. Two chemists walk into a bar. The first one says to the bartender, I'll have an H2O. The second one says, I'll have a H2O as well, making sure to not have his order confused with H2O too. The second chemist died anyway, because the bartender was a chemistry student who had been waiting his whole life for this. Yeah, they turned the O2 molecules to 2O molecules. 1 O for each nostril. Each nostril? You'll only got 2? I'm still waiting for my only fan, so I can afford one. The one and only fan. I used to have aircon, but then I switched to only using fan as it really helps me wake up better in the morning. My mouth is less dry, and it makes waking up easier too, since I won't drag my waking up from being too comfy. So sleep in a lava pit and you'll have no problem. Also the mouth less dry thing might be because the air conditioning also dehumidifies. Unsure if there are ways to mitigate that. A humidifier. Air conditioners were developed to be dehumidifiers. They condition the air. The fact that they cool stuff was an unintentional byproduct that turned out to be way more useful. I had a look on Wikipedia. It says electricity made development of effective units possible. In 1901, American inventor Willis H. Carrier built what is considered the first modern electrical air conditioning unit. 15, 16, 17, 18. In 1902 he installed his first air conditioning system in the Sackett Wilhelms Lithographing and Publishing Company in Brooklyn, New York. 19. His invention controlled both the temperature and also the humidity, which helped maintain consistent paper dimensions and ink alignment at the printing plant. Later, together with 6 other employees, Carrier formed the Carrier Air Conditioning Company of America, a business which in 2020 employed 53,000 employees and was valued at $18.6 billion. 2021. In 1906, Stuart W. Kramer of Charlotte, North Carolina was exploring ways to add moisture to the air in his textile mill. Kramer coined the term air conditioning, using it in a patent claim he filed that year as analogous to water conditioning, then a well-known process for making textiles easier to process. He combined moisture with ventilation to condition and change the air in the factories, controlling the humidity so necessary in textile plants. Willis Carrier adopted the term and incorporated it into the name of his company. 22. So it looks like they were first developed to control temperature and humidity, but that the name air conditioning originated specifically from someone who was more concerned about humidity control. The previous paragraph is even more interesting. The 19th century included a number of developments in compression technology. In 1820, English scientist and inventor Michael Faraday discovered that compressing and liquefying ammonia could chill air when the liquefied ammonia was allowed to evaporate. 12. In 1842, Florida physician John Gorey used compressor technology to create ice, which he used to cool air for his patients in his hospital in Apalachicola, Florida. He hoped to eventually use his ice-making machine to regulate the temperature of buildings. 12. 13. And envisioned centralized air conditioning that could cool entire cities. Gorey was granted a patent in 1851, but following the death of his main backer he was not able to realize his invention. Sweat is a free lubricant. I can deal with the downsides. Yeah, right. Sweat is a free lubricant, but your mom still makes me shower first because an air conditioner won't show me its butthole for $2.99 a month. Your fan has a butthole? Ot. The sound of the fan drowns the deafening silence of dread in my life. Sire, don't speak the truth. Unlock this answer for 70. I keep sliding debit cards into my fan, but it keeps slicing them up like they're oxygen molecules. I'm almost out of debit cards. Do you accept credit? I'll call tomorrow. You'll call now. I think they don't need air conditioning because they like to be naked. That can cause greenhouse effect, and I'm doing my part in saving the earth. Except when it is 34°C and above, then my stand might waver. Costs too much on my power bill. I live on the ocean and the breeze is my air conditioner. That took me longer than I'd like to admit. Millions of years of evolution did not prepare me for this. The electricity bill. Since I rent, there's not really a good place to put an air conditioner. Fans are more flexible and get the job done pretty well. Fans are cool. This shit gets upvoted? I will never fucking understand you. Reddit. I tried posting my foot pictures into the aircon, but the engineer kept looking at me weird when he had to come repair it for the 3rd time.